Texas A&M has found their 2026 quarterback in four-star Helaman Casuga.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, we got some fun things to talk about on the show. Texas A&M has landed their quarterback of the future in the 2026 class, Helaman Casuga. And we're going to talk about that on the show today. We're going to talk a little bit about the future of the quarterback position, knowing, hey, you've got a good quarterback in the 25 class. You've got some good quarterbacks still on roster. What does the future of this position look like? And then we're going to talk about the update on Terry Bussey's health and answer a few mailbag questions. That's going to be the show today. But right out of the gate, Texas A&M has landed a quarterback in Helaman Casuga, who is a guy that when you watch the film, he is just going to be a star at the college level. The first thing let's do is read the scouting report on him from 24/7 Sports. So it's a super productive quarterback who's been putting up big numbers since his freshman year. Threw for 4,145 yards and 34 touchdowns as a sophomore while completing nearly 65% of his passes. Natural thrower, strong mechanically with a quick release. Can get the ball downfield on a rope and is a very good at extending plays and making something happen when the pocket breaks down. Has excellent pocket mobility, can make defenders miss, and doesn't panic when pressured. Keeps eyes downfield and can find secondary targets and is accurate to all three levels of the field. At 6 foot, 200 pounds. Size may be a concern for some, but Casuga throws it well enough for his athleticism to compensate and will play at the high power 4 level. So, to me, the first thing on film that stood out about Casuga was that, it kind of reminds you of Ben Roethlisberger. Casuga, I don't think that he's a speed demon when it comes to taking off downfield, but he has that ability to make guys miss and and just extend plays, kind of like it said here in the scouting report. He's able to make guys miss. And when he makes guys miss, he's able to extend the play, get out of the pocket, roll. I saw him roll to his left and his right, which is impressive as a right-handed quarterback. Sometimes it can be a little tough to roll out to your left because you got to kind of turn your body and throw. He's great at it. And having the ability to go to both sides of the field to release the football is great. And the arm strength is very, very clear. It's kind of like, it reminds me of, back in the pitching days of watching a pitcher throw. They call it easy velo. Easy velo is when you look at a guy and you go, man, it looks like he's barely throwing the ball and he's hitting 96, right? That's easy velo. Casuga has easy velo behind his throws. He's able to push the ball downfield, throw it 40, 50 yards downfield, and it looks like he's just flicking the wrist a little bit, throwing the ball just barely. That is very, very important. Having a quarterback who's able to push the ball downfield like that opens up a lot of things when it comes to the downfield passing game. So yeah, his arm strength is quite lethal. So that stood out. But once again, it was the pocket's collapsing. I need to get out of here. He gets out, rolls to his right, rolls to his left, whatever, and he's able to push the ball downfield once he gets outside the pocket. And it's not just, the pocket's collapsing. I need to release. I need to get out of here. It's, Casuga's going to get sacked here. Wait a minute. He got out of there. Now he's rolling to his right, and he finds the guy 36 yards downfield, and he's gone, touchdown. Like, that is the part of his game that really stood out to me. And once again, he's a 4-star composite, ranked 173rd in the composite rankings. Some services have him higher. 24/7 Sports has him right around there, under the 180 mark in their actual rankings. In the composite, once again, he sits at 173, 14th quarterback in the class. But some services have him ranked higher. The frame, I agree with the scouting reporter, 6 foot, 200 pounds. It's a little bit of a smaller frame. He's not that 6'4", 6'5" quarterback like you have some of those guys on your roster currently. He's a smaller guy. I mean, we can sit here and we can run through small quarterbacks that have worked out. Kyler Murray, Drew Brees. I mean, you can do that all day. I'm not going to be someone who's going to say, well, I just think that's silly. Well, he's 6 foot. He's not going to be any good. Maybe got the best of Bryce Young, but not everybody. You see what I'm saying? It's having a quarterback who is able to get outside of the pocket and deliver the football and deliver over his offensive line is important. But I mean, Casuga's able to do that. He's not 5'9". Also, he's listed at 6'1.5". Maybe you get another inch or two out of him. Maybe he gets to 6'1", 6'2", whatever. But still, I mean, he'll be fine at 6 foot. If he was 5'9", we would maybe be having a conversation about it. But he's a little bit taller than that. So I'm not too concerned when it comes to that aspect of this. And then the accuracy is also what stood out to me. I mean, these footballs, there's quarterbacks who throw into a window, which is like, here's my receiver. I can throw it 2 feet to his right, 2 feet to his left, 2 feet above him, or at his knees, and he'll be able to make a catch. And we'll just throw it in that box. Or there's the quarterbacks who put it exactly pinpoint where the football needs to be. And Casuga looks like the type of guy that is going to do just that. He's going to put the football exactly where it needs to be on a play-to-play basis. And that stuff really, really matters. I mean, having a quarterback who's able to find open receivers, push the ball downfield like that, and make it easier on your receiver. I mean, it limits drops. When you put the ball, like if it's over the shoulder and you put it over the shoulder instead of putting it over the other shoulder, and okay, maybe the receiver could adjust and catch it, but that's not easy to do. You want your quarterback to put the ball where it makes it easy on the receivers. It makes it easy for the quarterback to go, or for the receivers to catch the football. That is what you're looking for in a quarterback. And when it comes to the accuracy, when downfield passing wise, that is possessed by Casuga, I mean, it's really, really impressive. I've been thoroughly impressed with that film when it comes to him pushing the football downfield. I mean, he's just putting it on the money every single time, and it's really been impressive to me. You got to have a guy like that who is able to always put the football right where it needs to be, because it just makes the life of the wide receivers much, much easier. So those are some of the things that stood out when it comes to the film for Casuga. But he just gives me that, that gritty, I'm going to make a play quarterback vibe. He's that guy that, he's going to get it done. He's going to find a way to push the ball downfield. He's going to find a way to get it to an open receiver. He's always going to find a way to make the right play, to make a smart play, and to make the winning play. So here's the deal. And we're going to get into it in segment 2, but this is going to be really interesting to see who is able to step up in this quarterback room, who's able to be the guy that, pushes who's able to win the job. Maybe not next year, but the year after. I mean, this room is going to be very, very interesting, especially in the new era of college football with the portal and all that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then I think the last thing, and I talked about a bit, but avoiding sacks. That's one thing. I mean, there were a few plays on his film where he was wrapped up. It looks like he's going down for sure. And then he's able to get out of it. Not only get out of it and throw it away, he's able to get out of it and get it to a receiver downfield. Just being able to get out of a sack and get rid of the football is a positive play for your team. But then being able to get out of a sack, roll out to your left or right, and find an open receiver, that is really, really, really good stuff. And that is exactly what Texas A&M, Coach Klein, Coach Elko is getting in Casuga. And the last thing that I want to talk about a little bit, and we'll probably move this conversation into segment 2 a little bit as well, but is we talk about how important it is to lock up your quarterback early. Texas A&M did this with Husan Longstreet, and in all honesty, it hasn't paid off as much when it comes to offensive weapons as I would have expected. Obviously, you've gotten a receiver here and there, and you've gotten a tight end. You've gotten some. It hasn't quite paid off like I was expecting. Hopefully that's a little bit different with Casuga, because once again, he is a player who I think if I'm a receiver and I'm turning on that film, Casuga is the guy that I want to play with right this second. He just has that ability to help He has that ability to help receivers. He has that ability to help his playmakers get open downfield. So hopefully, and we'll move this conversation into segment 2, but hopefully this pays off when it comes to weapons. We're going to talk a little bit more about that conversation and also have the conversation about what's the future of this quarterback position look like. We'll have those conversations coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, we got to talk a little bit about hymns. Guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims provides access to treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims is changing men's health by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis, and they're generous for up to 95% cheaper. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's hims.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable, compounded products, which are not approved by or verified safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with the healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. So once again, I want to just hit on this one more time. But yes, I really do find it important to lock up your quarterback of the recruiting class early. Coach Elko, Coach Klein have done that for this 2026 class. Helaman Casuga is going to be a guy that is really going to be a star, in my opinion, for Texas A&M. I really like this film. And maybe a show in the offseason, not really a during season topic, but is going to be, hey, comparing the pros and cons list of Longstreet and Casuga. But I'm hoping that you're going to see, knowing that you're one of your first commits in this 2026 class is your quarterback of the class, your quarterback of the future, as you're looking at it probably. Hopefully that can bring some receivers, some tight ends, some running backs with you, because once again, a lot of times if I'm a 5-star, high 4-star, whatever receiver, looking at this film, I'm going, man, this kid's a star. I want to play with this guy. He's going to put the ball right on the numbers every single time. So hopefully that ends up paying off for the Aggies. So now we've got to talk a little bit about the future of the position. So the first thing is where you're at right now. So obviously, this is Connor Wigman's third season at Texas A&M. This is Marcel Reed's second season at Texas A&M. Then you've got Jalen Henderson, who has been in college football. He's a junior. He's played 21, 22, and 23. So this is his so he is a he's getting older when it comes to that. He's listed as a junior on ESPN. And but point is, I think that the quarterback position looks like this. I'll be honest with you, and we gotta shoot straight here. I think that Jalen Henderson will probably hit the portal after this season, knowing that unless Connor Wigman goes on a Linsanity run here to end the season and ends up being a high draft pick and going. And even if that happens, I think that Marcel Reed, of course, is going to be the guy next season. So right now, I lean toward Connor Wigman being back next year. Knowing that's the case, I would say that Jalen Henderson hits the portal. So that leaves your quarterback room next year. You still got Miles O'Neill. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him. I mean, he could be a guy, knowing what you got coming in next year's class and in the 26 class now, that I could see hitting the portal as well, because Miles O'Neill's a dude. That arm talent is impressive. I believe he could find somewhere to go play. It's just going to be really hard to overtake some of these guys. So I think that kind of rules out O'Neill and Henderson, in my opinion. Obviously, they're still in this room. We need to see what happens when it happens. We can't be too quick to judge, what's going to happen with that room and with those players. But I don't know if I see a future for them at Texas A&M, just knowing what you've got currently and what you got coming in. So that really leaves you in the future. Obviously, Casuga is not going to get here for not next year, but the year after. So he's not here for a while. And by then, I mean, Henderson would be, eligibility-wise, would be more than likely done anyway. So this is how I figure the quarterback room is going to go. There's one of two options for next year. I think either Connor Wigman stays and he's QB1 with Reed as QB2 and then Longstreet is QB3 next season, or Wigman leaves. And if Wigman leaves for the NFL, then that might open up the window for O'Neal and Henderson. That's when that'll get interesting. But then you'll see probably Marcel Reed is the guy, Henderson, O'Neal, and Longstreet fighting for obviously the starting role, but then, back up second or third, fourth string, those kind of things. So you obviously have that, but I still, this is the way I see things going. I think Connor Wigman's going to be your quarterback. I think it's going to go Connor Wigman one more year. Then it's going to go Marcel Reed. Then I think you move on to Longstreet. And then I think potentially Casuga comes in and he's going to back up Longstreet for a couple years. Let's say maybe Longstreet goes to pro, whatever. Then Casuga takes over after a year, probably a year of sitting behind Longstreet. So we're talking really, really big picture down the road here when it comes to this quarterback stuff. But I mean, legitimately, I think that you've got a lot. If you're a Texas A&M fan and you're someone who obviously values the quarterback position, which you should because it's the most important position on the football field, you're really excited about the future of this position group. I mean, you've got a highly ranked, you got a 5-star in Longstreet, you got a highly ranked 4-star in Casuga. That's a guy that I think could still climb the rankings. I mean, he's got some time left. You've got a star in Connor Wigman, a star in Marcel Reed. You've got, in my opinion, the best third-string quarterback in college football in Jalen Henderson. And then you've got a guy in Miles O'Neal who, wow, I mean, he might not be the most exciting name based on some of the other names we've discussed. He's got one of the strongest arms of a quarterback he had the strongest arm in his recruiting class. He's got one of the strongest arms for a quarterback, in all honesty, right now in college football. So there's a ton of upside and a ton of different directions this staff can go at the quarterback position. Now, as we know, the transfer portal era and those things make this really interesting because, it's hard. It's hard to understand what things are going to look like for for the future of the program now than it used to be because of the transfer portal. It used to be, well, we've got a good quarterback now. We've got a good younger guy. We got a guy committed and a guy committed to the next class. And you can kind of figure out the future from there. Now it's like, well, this guy could transfer. This guy could transfer. This guy could leave. And it's really hard to figure out and piece together what the future of the program might look like. But to me, that is the future of this Texas A&M football program at the quarterback position. And like I said, it's a very, very bright future. And I think Texas A&M fans should be excited. I know I'm fired up about it. The future is bright for this Texas A&M quarterback room. We're going to talk a little bit about Terry Bussey's health update, and then I have a few mailbag questions to answer. We're going to do all of those things coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Ton of fun stuff to bet on right now, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you got MLB playoffs. I won a parlay on FanDuel last night with the MLB playoffs, which was a really exciting one. Also won a parlay for the NFL game last night, despite it being a boring game. Although really, there's more points than I would expect the overhead. So go check out FanDuel. Ton of fun. Promise you won't regret it. Here is the update on the health of Terry Bussey. So Terry Bussey was listed as questionable in the 2 days ago report. Now Terry Bussey has been upgraded from questionable to probable, which means there's at least, so they give percentages, doubtful means I'm pretty sure less than 25%. Questionable means it's 50-50. Probable means 75% or better. In my opinion, while it still says 75%, I mean, I look at it in fantasy football terms. When you hear probable, to me, probable means that person's playing. I think you're going to see Terry Bussey play in this game, which is a good thing. Once again, he did a lot of good things against Missouri in the passing game. I would absolutely love. We talked about yesterday. We talked a lot about stacking performances when it comes to. We talked about stacking performances when it comes to Connor Wigman and Noah Thomas. I'd love to see Terry Bussey stack a performance where he plays really well in an important road game for the Aggies. That'd be really cool to see. If the freshmen, we talk about this all the time, freshmen, they come in and then they slowly get better and better and better throughout the season. They develop more. They get to understand the speed. They get better and better and better. And I think that is the exciting part for Terry Bussey. I think the future, even for this season, he's going to keep getting better and better and better as the season goes on. And that is very exciting because he really, if you talk about maybe making a playoff or making whatever, he's going to be good for the tail end of the season. First mailbag question I have here is, what is the score prediction for the game on Saturday? I've talked about it. I want to see what the over-under is listed at on this game. I have a weird feeling when it comes to the over-under set at 56.5. So if you divide that by 2, that's about 28 points between the teams. I think that this is going to be my opinion on this game. I think that Mississippi State's going to cover. I think Texas A&M wins this game 31-24, which would that hit the over? That'd be 55. 55. So that would hit the under, but it'd be scary. So the line currently sits at 18 points for Texas A&M. And I think the Aggies are going to win. I feel like it's been one of those games. I think it's been one of those games where it's never crazy interesting. It's never one of those games where you go, man, this is, we're in trouble here. The home team, the underdogs are hanging around. But I think it could be a game where the Aggies are leading 31-17. The Mississippi State scores some kind of touchdown with 5 minutes left in the game to make it a little bit more interesting. Although, actually, if they were down a touchdown, that would technically they would still be covering. But you see what I'm saying? I think it's going to be a game, or even if it's 31-21, technically a touchdown from them there, they'd still be covering. You get what I'm saying? I just 18's a lot of points. After, Texas A&M's offense has been pretty good, against Florida, against Arkansas, better against Florida and Missouri. But, I need to see him prove it a few more times. And 18 points, knowing Connor Wigman, he played one good game. I just feel like 18 points is a lot of points, knowing we still need to see Connor Wigman and company prove it. I'd say one or two more times where we're really, okay, this is legit. This is exciting. We are bought into this. That's what I'm saying is I'd like to see it one more time on display. So that's my score prediction. Then some stat predictions. I think Connor Wigman's going to be somewhere in that 280 passing yards line. So I think Connor Wigman has 280 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. I think that Noah Thomas is going to have 90 receiving yards and a touchdown on 5 or 6 catches is what I'm kind of feeling right now. I think Le'Veon Moss is going to get 19-ish carries for 110 yards and a touchdown. I think he's going to have a good game. And then I think you might maybe get an Amari Daniels touchdown or a touchdown from another one of these players. And then the last question, I always like to talk about this. I like to talk about my vibes because I get asked this quite often. Normally when I do a mailbag, I answer this and just kind of hey, update my thoughts on it. But that is, do the Aggies make the playoff? And where we're sitting, October 18th, I believe Texas A&M is going to make the college football playoff. I really do. Now, here's the deal. I think it's all going to come down to the LSU game. I'm not super concerned about the game this weekend. Go win. Obviously, don't make this interesting. Don't make it scary. Go win this game. But I would love to see Texas A&M do just that, get the big win. And if they do that, then I think LSU next weekend, if you beat LSU, I think you make the playoff. I really do. And in all honesty, if you beat LSU, I think that assuming you take care of business against South Carolina and Auburn and New Mexico State and all that, that game against Texas could be for like one of the top seeds in the college football playoff. Like, we're not going to be talking about the 9 seed here. We'll be talking about one of the top 4 seeds probably if you are going against Texas. So that is going to be one of the more interesting parts of this next few weeks. That's going to do it for this week here at Locked On Aggies. Thank you all so much for being here every single day. I really, really appreciate y'all. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Helps the show a ton. Leave 5 stars on all podcast platforms. Also helps the show a ton. Really appreciate y'all. Hope everyone has an absolutely outstanding weekend. Hope everyone gets to enjoy this football game. It's going to be a fun one. I'm excited about it. Hopefully a lot of points are scored by the Aggies. We will see y'all on Monday right here on Locked On Aggies.